Hidden around the 5 boxes around me, I have the worst case scenarios for UFC 303, and we're going to start it off right away. And the first one will be Ian Garry versus Michael Venom Page. Is a snooze fest. Page only landed 41 strikes against Kevin Holland.
Bruh.
Now, on a massive card like this, both guys have the chance of a lifetime to grow their stock tremendously. You might think they have some hype and popularity now, but the amount of eyes that are on a Pereira Prochazka card are going to give them a massive chance to jump way up as far as stocks go and really earn fights against the true top 10 of the weight class. Now, a boring decision here would be terrible, especially for Ian Garry, who's already hated by most fans. I think many of you guys at home are hoping Ian Garry gets knocked out or hoping Ian Garry loses a decision. But I feel like best case scenario for the sport in the welterweight division is Garry winning and also winning by knockout. A snooze fest is just simply unacceptable here. Besides making the card way crappier, it would be bad for what's forthcoming for both guys, regardless of the outcome. MVP, already known as a bit of a dangerous point fighter, the narrative of him being boring would spread. The abilities of Ian Garry finishing fights, which is already in question, would be solidified a little bit more. Now, I think wins here by knockout for either guy would jump their star power. But for Ian Garry, as young as he is, it's just better for the division. It sets up potential big fights. Colby Covington, who, has been trying his absolute hardest to duck Ian Garry. But if Garry goes out and knocks out Michael Venom Page this Saturday, I think he won't be able to dodge and dip and slide away from Garry much longer. Now, if he goes out and wins a boring decision, yeah, Ian Garry could say, no, you barely beat that Bellator guy. But if you knock out Michael Venom Page, there's got to be some respect on his name. And I think the UFC will be much more down to push hard on that fight. And I think that Covington would have a hard time denying it anymore because he's eventually going to have to fight somebody. And an Ian Garry that chins Michael Venom Page is absolutely the guy. Now, if he does boot him from the rankings, I'm saying if he's saying no, if Colby's like, I'm not doing it, send him out of the rankings. There's no point to have him in the rankings anymore if he's not willing to fight an Ian Garry that chins Michael Venom Page. Now, I know you guys, for the most part, I would say majority is anti-Garry, but for the select few that believe in him, kudos to you. Because I think we're better off with an Ian Garry win than a 37-year-old MVP running up the division. And I think he'd get stifled at the top 2. So yeah, I think this would be horrid if it ends up being a damn boring fight that puts me to sleep. No matter who wins, if the fight sucks, it's really bad for both. Specifically, though, I think Garry, even more so. Now, the chance of this happening is 40%. There's a legit chance that this fight sucks, and that's why it's a worst-case scenario, but it's a realistic worst-case scenario that has me nervous. Let's keep moving. The next one, we have Bueno Silva versus Macy Chiasson happens. Yeah, I'm hoping this fight gets canceled. It is hard to dig at this fight. Well, actually, it's rather easy to dig, but I'm giving a hard dig because this is the worst fight possible to put on the main card. At one point, this was actually the featured bout of the night for the McGregor card.
What? What the fuck?
And I was in shock. Why don't they sub in Payton Talbott? Bo Nickel has gotten chances on numerous pay-per-views, even UFC 300, where champions were on the damn prelims. But you can't put Payton Talbott on the marquee spot on the main card to really give him a chance to jump his stock even more so. Oh, but it's against Ghemmouri. He sucks. Bo Nickel fought Val Woodburn on a pay-per-view. He fought Cody Brundage on a pay-per-view. Ghemmouri, at least he's got a decent record of 12-2. I think Talbott deserves some Dana White privilege. Unfortunately, it's being left out, and it's being pushed just on Bo Nickel, which doesn't even make sense because Payton Talbott is a knockout striker and has way more casual fan appeal. Bo Nickel has a target market of the wrestling community. Outside of that, he's kind of hated by a good amount of people that follow my channel, at least. A significant portion are anti-Bo Nickel. The guys that are on Team Bo Nickel, a lot of them, I know they're into the wrestling game. They're ex-wrestlers. They follow wrestling. Their son does wrestling. Things like that. It's so damn sellable to put Payton Talbott on the main card and high probability of a highlight reel knockout on the main card to make it even better. Why are we keeping Chiasson and Bueno Silva on? Oh, but the ranked fight is more important for the women's bantamweight division, where Raquel Pennington is the champion. What are you talking about? It makes zero damn sense to have this on the main card. Boot it right away. Sadly, I think there's only a 5% chance that the UFC wises up and puts Payton Talbott on the main card and gives him a chance to shine. So expect Bueno Silva and Chiasson to stick unless somebody pulls out. Maybe someone gets food poisoning. I don't know. Let's keep running. The next one, Roman Dolidze knocks out Anthony Smith. Now, I know some of you might be like, oh, what? Anthony Smith sucks. Say what you want about Anthony Smith, but personally, I enjoy his viral, delusional takes that he makes about being better than the current champion, Alex Pereira.
But if I show up, I'll beat everybody in the division, and I don't give a who gets mad about that. And they all know it. Or else they wouldn't get so mad about it when I said it. You know what I mean?
On paper, calling him out to a grappling match and actually believing he has the potential to win, those viral clips are fun. And if he gets knocked out by Dolidze, those viral clips die because Dolidze, say what you want about him at middleweight, he absolutely sucks at light heavyweight. He looked horrible when he was fighting at light heavyweight. Last light heavyweight fight, he fought John Elan. Go watch it. No, actually don't. Avoid it. It sucked. He looked terrible. I think he's got awful stand-up, but he hits hard. And at 185, his freak strength and explosiveness can kind of work with a lack of skill. But damn, I'm hoping Anthony Smith destroys him. It would suck. It would kill the fun if Anthony Smith got knocked out. So I'd rather Anthony Smith get a win and allow his delusions to reach maximal levels. Sure, I think the odds of him ever getting a fight against Alex Pereira are on the relatively low side. More than likely, the grappling match is his best option to get a hold of Alex Pereira in any facet, but it's still fun to listen to. It's still hilarious. And Dolidze's got some bad karma on him. He deserves something bad to happen. He's a douche. You remember when he was sleeping with that flyweight UFC fighter's wife, and he broke those two up. So you know what? Karma's a bitch, and I think Dolidze's taking an L. This right here, I hope doesn't happen, but I kind of think there's a chance of it, a legit chance, because Anthony Smith on the feet sometimes is looking washed. 40% chance this happens. I'm picking Anthony Smith, though. I don't care. I think he can win. I think he can beat Dolidze. He should be slicker than Dolidze. But Dolidze might punch him in the face, and Smith might just curl up, get TKO'd, ground and pound, might get tapped out. Yeah, Dolidze's a douche. Karma's coming for him. 40% chance, though. I got to be real about the percentages, but I hope I'm wrong. Next one. This one's going to suck. Brian Ortega dislocates his shoulder again. This would be horrible. Everything else would be bad, but this would be horrible. Ortega, remember something. He's had 3 shoulder surgeries in his life before. 2 fights ago, he dislocated his shoulder against Yair Rodriguez. And something to note about shoulder injuries, you are more likely to re-injure a shoulder that's been dislocated again. It's a 90% chance after a first dislocation, it happens a second time. I'm a little bit worried that the shoulder could give out from Mr. Brian Ortega. Now, I don't know. I think the MMA gods are with us and this won't happen, but an inconclusive end to this fight would be shit. It would kill Lopes's hype of beating a ranked contender and actually really working towards the high tier of the weight class. And with a legit win, it would really push him way up. But a tainted win of injury, yeah, it's a nice name on the resume, but it's altogether meaningless if Brian Ortega is injured. And it probably actually just sets up a Movsar Evloev rematch, in all honesty, which I guess isn't horrible, right? If you're looking at it from the outside and thinking, you know, several steps ahead. But as far as what it would do to the card, it would be depressing. I'd be disappointed. Hopefully that I didn't just curse the fight and completely jinx it. I'm actually going to knock on wood. 3 knocks. We should be good. I just knocked on wood. It probably won't happen. I don't know. I probably didn't jinx it. I don't think I did. But I'm worried about that Brian Ortega shoulder. I think Diego Lopes is going to beat Brian Ortega. But I want a clean win. I don't want no injury. I want him to punch Ortega's jaw to the other side of his face, beat him up with ground and pound, and strangle him to pull off one of the most badass wins to emerge as a star in the featherweight division in a long time. I want him to beat up the game Ortega and actually do more damage than like a Max Holloway did to him. That's what I'm hoping for. And I think it's possible. I'm saying the chance of this is like 3%. Like more likely than not, it won't happen. No way. No way. I didn't jinx it. No way. Let's keep running. The absolute main. It would be Prochazka grapple fucking Alex Pereira. This would be so bad. This would be so bad. If Prochazka bodies Alex Pereira on the ground and really exposes that lack of grappling skill, I feel like it kills so many matchups that could be there in the future that could still happen if Yuri Prochazka knocks him out with a big punch. Yeah, if he sleeps him with a clean overhand or a wild elbow, they'll do the trilogy. And maybe Pereira wins the trilogy. And kind of better for him to, have some time to work on the ground skills before he falls into fights against maybe an Magomed Ankalaev. But another bright side is it gives someone else a chance to beat Magomed Ankalaev and for Alex Pereira to avoid what I think is a pretty hard matchup. But if he takes him down and beats him up, I don't even want to see the trilogy. If he takes him down and beats him up, I'm going to be very worried because I would assume it would happen again because how much better can Pereira's grappling get? So far, he's holding on well from the bottom. But if Prochazka somehow turns into Mr. USA All-American wrestler, slams him down, beats him up from top, and strangles him, a grapple fucking here would be horrible. And I don't think I'm emotionally ready for that to happen. I'm really hoping that it isn't what comes to fruition. I think if Prochazka chins Pereira, we run it back right away. And if Pereira knocks him out, that's great too. Because as a Pereira fan, yes, I fear the Ankalaev fight a little bit.
You're a pussy.
I think many of us Pereira fans don't want to admit it. We try to downplay the resume of Magomed Ankalaev because in our heart of hearts, we know Ankalaev is the most legit guy on the ground Pereira will have ever fought. And that's a worrisome task because he might get smothered and beaten the shit out of from top and submitted by a damn Magomed Ankalaev who's got zero personality. Now, I think best case scenario is actually Pereira violently knocking out Prochazka. I've seen some people online talking about how it'd be better for him to lose and then set up a badass trilogy. I don't want that. I want a knockout, and I want him to defend 1 or 2 takedowns in the process before chinning Yuri Prochazka to give us more confidence in the wrestling defense of Alex Pereira. Now, as much as I hate the Ankalaev fight, I'd rather see it next. And as much shit I talk about Ankalaev, his resume, yada dee, yada do, it's a little bit of fear that he takes down Pereira and is the guy to beat him on the ground. And as much as you hear Ankalaev's going to strike with him, don't buy it. The odds of him striking with him, pretty damn low. Unless he's brain dead, which, in all honesty, he might be pretty dumb. I don't know what Magomed Ankalaev because I can't understand a word he's saying. And he doesn't seem to connect with the fans very well, even with the language barrier. So I don't know what Ankalaev's about, really. We've seen every one of his fights, but don't know anything about the guy. Maybe he is dumb enough to strike. Fingers crossed he is, but he's probably going to look for takedowns. And if Pereira can't stop some Prochazka takedowns, I'm going to be very worried heading into that Ankalaev fight. And if Prochazka does grapple fuck Alex Pereira, the trilogy, besides whatever would happen there, it's like you know the path now. It kills the John Jones fight, which might never happen, or the Tom Aspinall fight, which might never happen, but a win over Prochazka at least leaves that as a realm of possibility. So optimally, it's Pereira chinning Prochazka. Worst case scenario, it's Prochazka grapple fucking Pereira. And okay case scenario, which is still pretty bad, is Prochazka landing a freakish knockout and then they do the trilogy, which would be good for the sport and would be a pretty massive fight. Now, the odds of this happening, 15%. There is a chance, but it's not that high. Yuri Prochazka is not historically known as a grappler. Say what you want about him submitting Glover Teixeira. He was getting bodied on the ground in that fight, and he is not known for taking guys down and beating them up. Sure, he can throw some ground and pound. Sure, he took Pereira down in the first fight, but Pereira got back up to his feet before the round ended. So I think this won't happen. But if it does, damn, it's going to suck. Let me know if you agree with my worst case scenario UFC 303. And also let me know if you feel like I left anything out that would make the card even worse. I want to hear from you guys in the comments. So definitely tell your boy. Now make sure you smash the like button on your way out. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe it up. This is the first ever worst case scenario video and it starts for UFC 303. I want to know if you guys like it. And listen, I can make it a consistent thing for all these big cards. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great one, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.